This is Kory Willis with PPEI, and you're listening to the Diesel Podcast.
I'm Adam Blattenberg from Diesel World.
This is Dan, owner of ATS Diesel Performance.
I'm Kaz from Diesel Doctor of Tennessee, and you're listening to the Diesel Podcast.
Boom! We got the casting couch and everything set up for this sucker. Heck yeah. Hey, can y'all hear over there? Can you hear in there? Hello. Can you hear? Yo, perfect. All right, they can hear.
So what are you doing in Colorado?
Doing in Colorado? What's legal in Colorado?
Pretty much damn near anything.
No. I went up to the Meyer event, stayed there, met up with a bunch of dealers, and then came over here, did some snowmobiling and steamboat. It was freaking awesome.
I saw you on Instagram. You're tearing it up.
Yeah, I'm not that good, so I had to go and get a bunch of open area. It was legit. It was sweet.
What were you doing up at Meyer?
So they had a deal where I think it was some of their top sellers and then also vendors. And we went out there and met a bunch of new dealers. We kind of refined the process we have with Meyer for ordering and stuff so customers get their stuff quick. And it worked out pretty good. It was awesome. We had a good time.
That was one of the things a lot of the things I've heard about Meyer is their distribution is crazy. Like,
oh, yeah, it's insane.
Everywhere.
Like, how in the world do you order something almost no matter where you're at and you get it, like, the next day?
It's like Amazon.
Yeah, and so you hear about it, but then it's like, yeah, whatever. And I went over there and seen their facility, and it's like in a candy store looking around. It's freaking nuts. It's insane. It was by far one of the biggest warehouses I ever seen. They're like, oh, yeah, this is just one of them. What? It was crazy. It was nuts.
I think it's one of the things that's cool is being able to talk like with you and some of the other guests we have is they hear about the products.
Yeah.
They can order them.
Right.
And then if you need them quick, especially if you're a shop owner or you're in a rush or something like that, there's that network there to...
Well, that was one of the big things was like a lot of people were telling us there. They were like, yeah, we like getting your products, but, we order such and so's products or we order, specifically from Meyer just because the shipping and the shipping time, like it saves us so much money. And now going there and seeing it, it's like, okay, I get it. I understand. Those dudes are not messing around.
One of the things, and it's so cool to be able to do a podcast like this and on Instagram Live and stuff, is I'd posted up a picture on sometime last week of the 2019 3500 Ram.
Yeah.
I got tuning for that. And I'm like, how do you do that? Like, how do you...
Fairy dust. There's a little bit of fairy dust.
Well, you can't even get one yet. How do you do that?
No, we ready. I mean, I got a couple of buddies of mine, some of the Speedway Motors crew, and then one of my buddies at Jordan Berza. He's always got like one of the first Rams, and then everybody knows like Raj, all the SEMA stuff, and they're like, oh, we got trucks. It's, bring them to me. Let's party. Yeah, the tuning and stuff all really mapped out all the same. Like, I'd like to expect that pretty much all of the tuning companies and editing companies will probably have it pretty quick because the definitions, like, of the files all look basically the same as previously. Like, the mapping and calibrations within them are different, but the actual, like, layout of it is still the same. So, CM2450, I believe is what it is.
Okay.
So, yeah, running... looking at the tune file, it's solenoid injectors and a very high pressure fuel system. So it looks like it's ready to party.
Just hearing about that truck and like, man, the transmission stuff is, well, it's not just the transmission, but it's the engine, the turbo and everything.
Yeah.
But the options that you have, especially that ASIN, which I think is what probably the hardcore enthusiasts.
Yeah.
You're going to go towards that one.
Yeah.
But I guess they've done things with the 68 too.
And the 68s are doing pretty dang good now. I mean, we have this conversation a few years back and say, junk. But with good tuning and stuff and good products they got out now, a lot of people got just the valve body and converter kits and they're rocking out pretty good. It did look like in the mapping that they're gonna only offer that 1,000 torque option though in the ASIN. That's what it looks like. So because I open up like some of the 68 files and the G56 or whatever, and it's like, all right, they've got these detuned. So I guess they know that the 68's not the best either.
I was just like, man, why can't we just do one transmission? Kind of like, you get a Duramax, get an Ellis, and you get a 6R140. But I don't know, it's interesting.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really nice whenever I turn that thing up as far as I can on the dyno and it makes power, it blows up.
What do you think about the 10-speed Allison?
I mean, if it's anything like the 10 speeds, in other platforms, it's going to rock out. It's going to do some quick skip shifts and all that good stuff. So, I mean, potential's there. I don't know. Let's blow one up. You want to find out? Come over. We can turn this sucker up. Let that thing 40 rock.
I think it's interesting to see, though, them go to more years, which I think is probably because of the fuel economy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They're trying to make a balance of all that. But, the 10-speed Allison's actually if I'm not mistaken, I don't think it's actually an Allison. Ding, ding, ding. I could be wrong, but I actually think that it's something that they kind of developed and then are using kind of like Allison branding or something like that. Like something's different. Kind of like they're using the T87 for Allison controllers, but it's actually GM's, GM's part and everything. I think they're doing something similar to the 10-speed. It's live, so I'm sure 1,000 people in there is like, this guy's an idiot. It's just what I heard. They're not out yet. I don't know. Slap me later. We'll find out.
Well, that's the development part of it is you get it. You're going to put it through its paces, maybe break it, and then that's when the
Definitely break it. Yeah. Definitely break it.
That's when the transmission guys get their hands on it.
Yeah. Here you go, guys. Fix this thing you haven't seen before. I broke it in like 3 days.
So what's new at PPEI since we chatted last, which wasn't that long ago, but things move so quick.
Yeah, things move fast. I don't know. We got that the new Ram stuff that's going to be coming out. 6.4 stuff. We've been getting blown up on that. I've had it for a long time. I freaking tuned 6.4s all the way back to like 2012, 2013 or so. But then whenever we lost our platform to be able to tune it on, then it was like, well, I guess we just hold off on this. So EasyLink actually just reintroduced it back. So I seen a couple of tuners release their tuning like today and stuff like that. But being that I've been out of town and all that, I want to give my techs and stuff a little rundown of everything. We'll probably release it. I'm shooting for hopefully like Chad's going to be on here and be like, our dealers don't all the way know yet. Stop. But don't worry. We're not releasing it yet. We're going to send out information. But it's going to be hopefully I'm shooting for Friday if we can. But if not, for sure next week. We finished up and got OBD EcoDiesel flashing done. So you don't have to send in the ECUs anymore. That was a pretty big one. And that works for Jeep as well. But the only thing with that was, we tested it. It worked on the bench. Everything did well. But in the truck, Mike Free, I don't know if you remember Mike Free. Mike Free's kind of OG, been in the game forever. But
I heard the name, yeah.
Yeah, he took and he was like, man, I can't get mine to work. Can't get to read this and that. So I'm like trying to do a couple of troubleshooting. And then, boom, a read file pops up. And I'm like, how'd you get that? He's like, oh, I left it running and read the file out. And it worked? Yeah, so I went out to mine, tried it. It worked. So it's kind of a weird part of the process. What actually happens is the ignition shuts off. So you know how their push button?
Yeah.
So it's like GM has the same thing, but you can hold it down. It goes into programming mode. Where on the Chrysler, it doesn't. It just, you press it and it'll stay live for 20 minutes or so, and then it dies and your flash shuts off and life sucks. But so yeah, but it writes within 15 minutes, so the writing's fine. It's just the reading, and I think we got that dialed in. They were gonna release it last Wednesday whenever I was leaving, but I guess they're smarter and was like, yeah, we better not do this when Kory's not here. So I took and maybe tomorrow that'll be hitting. We'll see as soon as I get back. But that's 2 things just off the top of my head. LBZ LMM for Duramax. I got all that done for EasyLink. And that'll be going up on the cloud next week too.
Oh, cool.
So that's kind of cool, making it an all-in-one platform. So we'll see. Ramping up our emissions compliance stuff even more as well. So trying to play with a little bit of different options on emissions compliance so we can make big power without hurting emissions and output.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Yeah. What is emissions compliant? What exactly does that mean?
So a lot of people have the EPA. But the way that works is that it's like this. So the EPA looks at it and they say, okay, if this vehicle come with a stamp of compliance, then you can't modify it without having, a form of basically self-certification or an EO number, right? So a state that uses CARB, that they have to have EO numbers to be able to sell within that state. So, but a state that's just, basically not under CARB, like Louisiana, for example, you can do federal testing and be fine. You just have to do all the self-tests. There's a set of guidelines you got to go through, and you can do that. The equipment's a little bit pricey, But so that's what we had done, a few years ago in preparation for all this EPA madness. And but we also went to the University of Houston and re-verified all of our testing we did in-house, which was like right there, less than 1% margin of difference. Wow. So that's part of why we're building the facility right now, too, at PPEI. We're building a full-blown emissions test facility that is legitimate, equivalent to what the University of Houston has. So we'll be able to do testing and things of that nature. And if all goes as planned, we'll actually be able to even test how to do it all. So there's some processes kind of similar, but they're pricey. They don't really understand, like, if you fail, what needs to happen to actually be able to pass. And for us, we understand emissions pretty well enough now, dealing with it for years on, a test stand, that I know how to make NOx go up. I know how to make it go down, know how to, move the numbers around to where you get them compliant. So that's some things that we're really working on right now, is dialing in a simple process so the industry can use it for street use. Right, so race use is kind of a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
But street use is definitely something that has to be concentrated on. To specifically answer your question, though, whenever emissions intact versus emissions compliant, it's like two totally different ball games. So emissions intact, tuning can still be way out of range.
That was the thing that grabbed my attention, was you can have a product and you have all the emission systems on it. Mm-hmm. But it might be producing more than what's allowed by the standard. And
Totally. And, with that said, that's what really sucks right now, is that there's really no clear, simple, and cost-efficient solution for tuners and hard parts companies to be able to get compliant, to where it would satisfy the EPA. Right? So that's the big thing right now, is it's like, okay, well, we want to do it, and everybody wants to do it. Like, everybody legitimately wants to do things correct and be compliant, but where's the roadmap? There isn't one. We had to make our own, and then while we're making it, the vehicles are cheating on the dyno, so we have to go back and get a whole different vehicle for it to do the same thing. So it's just a whole ball game. But we're working on making a roadmap for people to legitimately use, and I think that'll be pretty cool, because it sucks that whenever someone really puts a lot of effort into having emissions compliant tuning and they don't know if it's still going to pass EPA standards. And that's what's rough. And I mean, it's not like we just did it overnight. It's been like a 3-year ongoing ordeal. But with shops and people getting in trouble left and right, it was a good investment. It was expensive, but it was a good investment. Now we kind of know how to operate that stuff.
I think that's been the kind of gathering storm that it's probably been going on for a while.
Yeah.
It is. Okay, there's some repercussions to doing some of these things, but I want to do it right. How do I do it right? There's no roadmap.
Right. And then everybody's scared to talk about it, too, because they don't want to get in trouble. And it's legitimate concerns,
Yeah.
It's legit. This weekend at Meyer, I don't know how many people is like, hey, the EPA stuff, and I'm like, you don't have to whisper. We can be loud about it. If we get loud about it, we'll probably get some resolutions here.
Yeah. I think that's really important. And
it is.
And why we've touched on it in our other podcasts, but to ask you specifically about it is helpful, because it's like these products and things have been out for 10 years
totally,
now. They know what's out there, but it's how do we get to the next step so there is diesel performance. You can put something on your truck, get a little bit more power, or make it perform a little different.
Yeah.
And none of us want to see the aftermarket go away or just cease.
And that's what's basically happening right now, is we're seeing talk on big terms, $1 billion industry going to go down the pipe if we don't get some form of roadmaps. You could take a Prius and put some thick wide tires on it, and it just changed the emissions output legitimately.
Yeah.
So it's like, how much is let's get some guidelines set in play, and that's what we're really trying to do right now, especially with the politicians and everything else. I just signed up to be a tuner, but here we are trying to freaking talk to legal. Come on. But let's just tune trucks.
If you were given a wish to make this all happen, what else could take place in the diesel industry,
right,
that could help you get it where you want it? Is it other companies? Is it a change of mindset? Is it everything? Or what would be the biggest help?
Man, it's honestly a little bit of everything, right? So let's discuss a freaking elephant in the room. RPM Act's going to go through, and we can now have race trucks driving on the highway. No. That is not what the RPM Act's about. It's not what it's for. It's to defend our racing industry. So if someone takes and they actually become very arrogant about this policy, we're going to see it get reformed like that. People really do need to start trying to make this transition over to emissions compliant type stuff and leave the racing for racing, because otherwise it leaves us on our end trying to police everybody on what they're doing. It's like the window tint shop calling all the people that ever got window tints like, you put this on a legal vehicle, right? It's like, don't make the window tint company do that. Just follow the laws. Like, do it correctly. Yeah. And I think what a lot of people, it's just a long going mindset. A lot of people are like, still working? Y'all can still hear us? We're good? Perfect. The emissions compliant thing, it's like, it works really well. Like, the new trucks really do good. Like, we've got it now to where we're ripping some good power and we're not seeing really increase in actually seeing decreases in emissions and DEF consumption. So it's like, at what point in time is this just a problem? You know what I mean? Your $40 sensor failed on it. Now you're going to go spend $5,000 on doing deletes and whatnot. It's like, let's get with the times a little bit here. You could have fixed your $40 sensor, got an inexpensive tune, and voila, be $4,000 less in your life.
I think that's it's something we all want to see, and I know we appreciate what you've done, what PPEI's done.
Yeah.
For a while now of, okay, I think you talked about it on our very first podcast, maybe the second one.
Going on a minute.
And you're like, let me test this. Let me figure out what it's doing. Let me see how far I can push it, or can I make it better through this process than what the OEM calibration is? And say you can do that.
Totally.
Well, you need to be able to back it up and be able to say, hey, this isn't a race truck.
Right, exactly.
On the street, this is...
Exactly, because like right now, the way they want to put it is like, okay, all the manufacturers are responsible for what the end user does. And if that be the case, there's going to be no aftermarket whatsoever, because we can't police what people do. You know what I mean? People take, and you sell illegal Advil over the counter, are going to take 30 of them to get a high. So it's like, at what point in time is Advil responsible for that? Put it on the label, say don't be an idiot, and this is how many you're supposed to take. I think Diesel Performance needs to be treated the same way. Go after the end users. I seen on a kind of a private group a while back where someone's like, hey, they're going to take and start going after us instead of end users. Like, this is really bad. And it's like, no, it's actually not. Like, if they start expecting the whole top of the industry to police the bottom, they're going to stop the top and they're not going to have anything. They're going to basically, for lack of a better term, cut the head off the snake. But the snake's not bad. Not all snakes are bad snakes. So it's like, if you cut the one off the top and there's none, well, that sucks. The industry's gone. But then if you end up having a legal way of doing it all where we don't have to police everything, then heck, it's not a bad deal.
It's so exciting, at the same time, like, I know it's a huge change, and sometimes change is hard, but the power these new trucks are making.
Oh gosh,
like,
yeah.
If you think back, when you started on LBZs or 6.7 Cummins, what you could do with
even
that.
Better if I was not in LB7s. Yeah. As like the 6.4s, it was today, I was kind of laughing, it's like, we've got this file that made like 290 something to the wheels or whatever, 300 horse file. And it's like, people are like, well, why can you get 300 horsepower 6.4? You don't get 230 horsepower out of your Duramax. Do you realize where that truck started and where it is now? Like, huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, vehicles have changed.
So where are you guys feeling comfortable in the L5P with emissions intact, tuning, with as far as like power and...
Around 550 is about what I've seen to be the peak before I'm starting to have like emissions problems. So I can push it further, but there's not enough charger there to be able to actually get the NOx and everything back down to where I need it to be. So 550 is really pushing it. Like, that's really pushing it. There'll be kits and stuff on the market soon, though. I think we'll be seeing 650 emission compliant vehicles that don't cost a whole lot of money to do. It's not going to take a $6,000 turbo kit to make 650 horse. Maybe just a turbo under $2,000 and be good to go. So I mean, who wouldn't really want that, so to speak?
And then you think about the older trucks, like say an LB7. What's it going to cost to get to 650?
Yeah, exactly.
On this L5P,
exactly. two different animals, totally. And the cost per or dollar per horsepower is definitely there on the new trucks, no doubt about it.
What about the 6.7 Fords? I don't want to forget about those.
Yeah, so I don't know as much as I'd like to know about like the new ones coming out. I think 2020, but my understanding is I think a little bit larger injector and I think it's going to be running like 34,000 PSI or something crazy like that, 34, 36, something belligerent. So what's going to come of those? I don't know. I don't think they've laid all their cards on the table yet.
Are you talked last time about the shift on the fly tuning?
Yeah.
With the 6.7 Ford.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of questions about that. People are asking, how do I do that? Like, what do I need to buy? How does that all?
Right. While we're doing that, I'll fix this charger. So, like, are you talking about, like, how it's done for the most part, or, like, the early models of how we're doing it?
Yeah, just how you guys are doing it, how it works with early versus late.
Charging again. So it's like, right now, boom, back in business. Right now, we've got it to where, off of the 11 through 16, we have it to where you can actually just do it on the app. We basically have a CAN-based solution. So you can press up and down your app, or we got a little switch we're going to come out on that just plugs straight into the OBD port, so you don't have to plug in. But the method otherwise is basically we're using a defuel method. So we can take and actually defuel the truck based on what horsepower we want it to hit. And with doing that, we can control boost, timing, fuel, control everything. You know, we could even, if we wanted to, we could take and change the post injections, pilots, everything up all the way to that point that we want in that fuel limiting command. So it's pretty cool. Yeah. So we've got a pretty versatile range of how we want to make it happen. So the 6.4's got some tricks that's a little bit different, and it's pretty cool. Like level 1's high idle, level 2 is going to be like stock power, and then we go up from there. So just different platforms. We can do different modes. Pretty cool.
6.4's, I've talked about it before on episodes, but man, I don't know what it is about those trucks. I don't know if it's the headlights, the fenders. I know they get a bad rap because of the engine and things that can happen.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they blow up all the time, but they're cool as hell. I love those trucks. Yeah. Like, why you like a 6.4? Because it's powerful. You know, they're really, really cool trucks. But, I mean, the answer to it's legitimately pretty simple. You know, they've got a big fuel pump, and they've got piezo injectors. You know, it's like taking just about like taking an LML with a CP3 conversion, you know, but they come with that from the factory. Maybe Ford was like, these people are making too much power. Let's put a hunk of crap CP4 in this thing. How liminal? Nah.
What about your Titan? You blown it up yet, or is it still going strong?
No, it's still going. Like, I don't even know how that thing's still going. I've pushed it. I've towed with it. The trans is a little sloppy now. The trans is getting sloppy, but it's still hanging in there.
Nice.
So, I put a big turbo kit on it, and the kit the kit itself is nice, but it needs a different turbocharger. I think Josh from CFT has one that he worked on with stainless on that. It supposedly does really well. I looked at his data logs, and it looks like it comes up with air pretty quick. But you know, to make it to know how much power and torque you're going to make on a truck, it basically, what we do is pretty simple. Like, anybody can do it. You can go to like Garrett's website, you know, Garrett Turbos, and you put in your liter of your engine, you know, how many valves, blah, 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 blah. And then it'll tell you for what horsepower you want, how much air it's going to take, how much boost it's going to take. And whenever you look at those numbers, and so say, for example, a Titan, if we're wanting 1650 RPMs, we want to make like 700 foot-pounds of torque, it's roughly going to be 30 pounds a minute of air, right? And it's going to be about 25 pounds of boost or so, just throw numbers, but it's going to be somewhere around there. And that's going to tell us, hey, we're at this RPM, it's going to take this much air, you know, assuming you got the fuel, to make this much power and torque. And so when you look at those numbers, you can take and spec the charger by, you know, the turbo map, and then you'll know based on the turbo map and then how much air it's going to take to put in the engine at this RPM to make this amount of power. Okay. Then you'll be able to take and actually spec a turbocharger. So that's kind of what we're doing right now as well. We're trying to spec a charger that works within these ranges. You know, now it might not make peak power at 4,000 RPMs and spin 650, but if I can start spinning the tires at, you know, 1,600 RPMs on full boost with no smoke, no nothing, you know, and keep the emissions happy, that's what we're looking for.
Those trucks that engine's very interesting.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to see it in some other platforms as well, and
it's man. I mean, it's a beast. I'm anxious to start playing with the chargers on it. If anybody out there is watching or listening, and you want to make a parallel S200 kit, That's what I would like to do. Like if I had a fab company, you would see a PPEI parallel kit with two S200s hanging off each side of the engine. Like that's what I want to do, but unfortunately I'm not a fab guy and I don't have time. So somebody out there wants to do it, you'll probably make a ton of money. I'll buy some of it right now.
So if you had to look into the crystal ball for the rest of 2019 and predict some stuff, what are you seeing through the spring and summer? And
rub the ball. The crystal ball that we use for tuning to diagnose people's trucks through the thing.
By sound.
By sound. By it's broke. Can you please fix it? Rub the ball. No. What I see happening to the industry, like as a whole, like what's going on?
I'd say industry. I'd say tuning. You know what's this look like?
I rub my crystal ball. My crystal ball says that we're going to see a lot of changes in the industry happening before long, just because of how hard the EPA and DOJ has been cracking down on people, right? And the approach they're using to actually get people to comply. That's one. I think a second thing we're going to see is we're going to see, hopefully, some politicians step up. We're going to see SEMA start playing hardball pretty good shortly, because this is going to be, whenever they see some of these high-level distributors going down and the policy's changing, then it's going to create a whole lot of sound. And so when it comes to the industry, I think we're going to see a lot of tuners starting to move over to emissions compliance. There's going to be people probably trying to beat the system by going out of the country, by doing all kinds of crazy things. But you're going to probably see a lot of pop-up overnight tuning companies for people trying to get around the system, which is all the wrong way of doing things. There's a right way to do it. As far as the industry goes, I think in the tuning market, that's how we're going to see it. And then you're going to see others that say, okay, let's start playing around with making emissions compliant horsepower without having such a high cost. And we've got a few plans for that, and I'm sure there's other companies probably freaking beating the tar out of us on it right now. But we've got a few plans, and we're going to try to put those into action. That's what we've seen happen in gas world. They got super strict, and now you're seeing some high performance gas stuff coming out that are making power, going fast. So I think our industry won't be far behind following that.
It's one of the things that that I've heard, from people that aren't involved in tuning, is they say, well, it doesn't affect me. I don't do tuning. I do this. I do that.
Yeah.
They're all interlinked together.
That's what I've been trying to say for years, and then I get on and I'll talk about it, and some people's like, oh, it's a sales pitch for, trying to get people to. It's not. Like, when you start seeing some of these really high-level companies stop selling the products, that's just phase one. Yeah. If we fast forward another 2 or 3 years, then how many more phases are there until this thing's totally gone? So, either we've got to come to some type of compromises of the rule book, kind of like what I was saying, or actually get a rule book to understand it. Yeah. Because right now the term like motor vehicles is too broad, right? So the way it's labeled now and the way it's being interpreted, it seems, by the EPA is that, like, if it's a motor vehicle, that can mean that, or a stamp of compliance, you can't take your 6.7 engine, right, and rebuild it in any form or fashion because it started off as a compliant, and move it over to, like your old hot rod, and that is a full-blown tube chassis. Because that engine, they can go as far as to saying, because that engine started with a stamp of compliance, it's not you can't use it ever again. Or they can come back around and say, well, you're using it in that's a full-blown raised chassis. So the discrepancy is at how the EPA is going to interpret that word, interpret that phrase. And that's what's so loose right now, and that's why we don't have a book, and that's why so many people are having a hard time complying, because they don't know the rules. So I think that's another thing in 19 we're going to see is hopefully some type of rule book to narrow this down, because I think there's about to be a lot of noise made.
Yeah, because, just that right there, now we're talking about conversions.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about
converting a race vehicle,
motor mounts,
a street vehicle to a race vehicle, right. Mm-hmm. And as of right now, the EPA deems that illegal. Like, you can't do it. Now, at SEMA, they're saying, hey, we're not doing that. We've never done that. We've never gone after anybody. They're not lying. They haven't. They go after the parts manufacturers. Mm-hmm. So that's the catch. It's like that we're never going to go after your race cars. We're just going to make sure you can't get parts, is basically the way it is right now. So with that said, there has to be some type of rule book so everyone can comply. Everybody wants to follow the law.
And that's the thing, and that's what's so cool to chat with you about this is, we could just talk about parts and everything. And everything.
It's a lot of this stuff that doesn't, this stuff doesn't really, it doesn't really generate sales a whole lot, and it's like it scares people more than anything, but there's no one talking about it. There's no one out there, and I try to describe it to the best of my abilities and my experience so far. So that's what I'm seeing. That's my little crystal ball.
After the last one we did, we kind of touched on that, and a guy wrote in, and he's like, I love diesel trucks, and I'm passionate about it. I'm going to school. I want to have a career in this, and I'm scared.
No, and that's sad.
I'm worried, and that struck a chord with me, and we were talking about sitting down tonight. It's like, we need to talk about this because it's not out there as much as it should be.
Yeah, it's not, and I understand why it's not, because people are being treated like criminals over parts, and they don't want to speak up about it because they don't want to be treated like a criminal. I'm going to lay in the bushes and no one's going to see me, and it really works for a lot of people. But what's sad is that because there's no rule book, no one knows what to do. There's people that aren't doing one thing wrong, like haven't ever even touched a DPF, and they feel the same way. Like this guy here, he hasn't even started in the game, but he's scared to get into it. Like that's not how motorsports is supposed to be, in any form or fashion. But that's what's going on right now. It's unfortunate, and we're just in my opinion, like stage one. How far will this thing go if we don't make noise?
So there's going to be a lot of changes, and there's going to be kind of a sink or swim, sort of thing. And,
totally.
But coming out on the other end, I mean, if we look at it in a bigger picture, is if you're a truck guy who doesn't want to make 550 horsepower with a truck where you can go, say, to any state and drive it, and you're cool with it.
I agree. There's both levels of the world, in my opinion, and they both need to be treated respectfully. And emissions compliance vehicles don't suck anymore. They did. Like, it was terrible. Totally sucked. That's why this whole entire, are you going to tune and delete thing started, because you couldn't hardly do one without the other, back in friggin' 2008. But things aren't that way anymore. They rip. All of our vehicles at the shop are all emissions compliant, and they all rip. They run the same calibrations that we send out every day, and I mean, they're awesome. It runs great.
I've been seeing PPEI everywhere. Seeing that you guys were at the ATS Gauntlet. You probably got a whole bunch of things you guys are doing, so you're getting out there.
Trying to be out there, and we got a bad to the bone fellow on board, Fabian from Toxic. You might know a lot of people know Fabian, but he's going to start trying to do more of the promotional stuff. We're out there at events, and then also do like a docu-type series to show everybody kind of the steps we go through for tuning, and we're going through for the whole industry. And I think that's going to be pretty cool. But yeah, we've been trying to get it out there. As long as we can have a voice, we're going to try to use it.
That's what's cool is that I'd stop by at ATS and saw all the companies, and you guys were there and everything, and it's awesome to be able to see the trucks and the people, and then just be able to talk and say, oh, this is what you guys are working on. This is what's coming up. And as a truck enthusiast, that's what's fun.
It's fun. That's what I had a blast with in Meyer, was like people are like asking us tons of questions about things coming out and how we do things, and I'm pretty much an open book. Here's how we roll. This is what we got.
We're gonna have to sit down after the changes this year, and
it's gonna be super interesting. I think just this past week, we've seen a press release from Rudy's stating no more emissions parts after the 31st of this month. We've seen a Premier had just sent out a deal last week. So it's like, it's starting to become a deal, and then Thunder had done the same thing. I mean, that's 3 huge players. So it's like something has to happen pretty quick to find out what is the racing market and what is the street market, and then they have to be treated respectfully in each manner for us to be able to have a motor, this sport in the future. It's pretty important, and it sucks to see these companies taking and basically saying, we're not going to sell any competition racing products. But it's because we have no roadmaps to know really what's what.
What is it?
You know what I mean? So it's like, at what point in time does if this happened to everybody, who are you going to get your race products from? So it's an issue. It's a legit issue. This isn't about delete products. This is about racing. This is about competition, not some off-road vehicle that goes off-road once. Like legitimate racing vehicles, trying to push vehicles, and like it used to be really fun back in the day, trying to push stock trucks into the 11s. Convert that thing into a race truck, see what it does. That's being threatened right now. It's a problem.
I had read something you posted, I think it was on Instagram, about just that. Is we love racing, and it's the competition, and we've been around it and seen it.
Yeah.
And something needs to be done, and I think fighting it individually doesn't necessarily work. It's going to
got to be loud, man. It's got to be. We got to get some political help from the top. That's for sure. You know, and but I think that's even going the right direction. So we'll see. See what happens. Yeah, that's where the whole emissions compliant thing's at right now for everybody. You know, and we worked really hard because we kind of seen this happening. You know, but we didn't necessarily forfeit our racing side either, because we believe in racing as well. So, you know, we're kind of dealing with that at the moment. That's an argument, but currently I want it, whenever this day did come, that people could resell our products in confidence, show the books. If the EPA ever showed up, show the book, show them what we sold you. Here's the data that follows them. And a shop doesn't have to be scared. You know, there's no weird tape with it.
Yeah.
So that's why we took the direction we did years ago.
And that's the confidence, whether, you know, I buy your tuning,
right, or
a shop is selling your tuning, is you get that reassurance that what you're either putting on your truck or selling to someone has that. And
exactly.
It does exist, but not so much in the tuning world.
It doesn't. And like I said, I really think that everyone out there would do the same thing we did if there was some type of roadmap.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I'm coming to find, because our phone blows up all the time with, you know, reputable, really awesome hard parts and tuning companies being like, man, how do I do that? It's like, well, here's what I did, but it really sucks. Like, it shouldn't suck this bad. And they're like, yeah, never mind. You know, but we're trying to remedy that the best we can as well for everybody. So it would be some form of roadmap, or we've got one we can send to anybody that wants to do it. But it sucks right now. We're gonna get it refined.
Well, I know we all appreciate what you're doing, and it's fighting the bigger fights, not just about tuning and not just about
it's about
horse.
Everybody's jobs, you know. Rather people, you know, I think if anybody doesn't like me, it's probably because they haven't met me before, you know, and they just developed an opinion. But, you know, for people that do like us, don't like us, whatever, we're fighting for everyone, because it's a bigger picture than just, you know, the tuning industry. And then we've got a bunch of people employed in my shop, and last thing I want is for people's careers to end. So, you know, they didn't get jobs, they got careers, and we treat everybody like family. So, you know, we're going to put up the best fight we possibly can to keep everything rolling and sustained. And so far, we've done a really good job of it.
Man, it was cool to meet up with you this evening after your quick Colorado trip.
Yeah, I was like last minute. My flights got messed up and canceled. I was supposed to be home right now with my dogs, but I was like, hey, let's make the best of this. Patrick, put something together. So then try to do a little bit of a live thing and just see what people do. We'll actually have this set up super legit one day. This is in a hotel room with a casting couch. But no, I thought it'd be fun and cool, and you know, I'm glad we could play.
It was a good time.
Hell yeah.
Nice, man.
Cool. Well, sweet. Well, anything else we need to touch on?
I think we hit on just about everything.
Yeah. There'll be some, like I said, we're coming out with all kind of stuff. We're working on a couple of little projects that are going to be really neat that I'll hit you back up on soon. Some alternatives to tuning and things like that, you know. Oh, so we did the CTS monitor too, where you could switch tunes with your CTS.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I worked with PowerTech on that, and those guys were freaking awesome. PowerTech rocks. So we, that came out, and that's pretty much all they got to do. They don't even have to change their tune, just buy another cable. So that was pretty sweet. That's good guys over there. But yeah, I think we touched on most everything we could pretty well hit on for now. Unless we want to do it for 4 hours of nonsense, I can do that too.
You got to catch an early flight in the morning, though.
Yeah, 3:30. I got to be up. No, I think I got to be at the airport at 3:45 or so.
Man.
It's not bad. I'll get 3 or 4 hours of sleep. We're good.
I need 8 or I can't function.
I can rock it for a while. Yeah. Well, cool. All right, man.
Awesome, man.
Sweet.